Hello everyone and welcome back to PAX and Recreation. And today we are back with the weekly podcast because it became a weekly podcast and we're shifting it a little bit, as you can imagine by the background. We always do Magic, which, because, we all play Magic, I guess. But I also have some boxes of other stuff laying around. So based on popular demand. So today we're doing One Piece, and I have a box around of a One Piece set that was not very popular, and we're going to do the usual, which is open this, talk about random stuff, some of the stuff that happened in the week, during the week, and we're going to have a little bit of a One Piece focus. Don't worry, I promise that if you don't follow One Piece, I will try to not spoil anything, but if you do already follow One Piece, welcome. If you don't, maybe by the end of this, I can convince you to join the crew, or maybe not. Who knows? And who knows? Maybe if someone turns in the middle of the, can you imagine if this was like a stream, right? Someone turns in the middle of the episode and sees me opening like One Piece cards, and it's like, oh, is that a new secret lair? It's like, well, might as well. If I can tell you one thing for sure, if One Piece didn't already have a card game that is kind of very successful right now, like some people put it in the third place because whether you like it or not, Magic the Gathering is number one in terms of, I guess, popularity, market, movement, impact, etc. Magic is always considered number one. Pokemon is number two. And it's funny because it's Pokemon the card game, not, let's start opening this. It's Pokemon the card game, not necessarily talking about Pokemon. Because Pokemon, the IP is, last time I checked, it's like the most valuable IP in the world. The way that we're going to divide the One Piece cards is, in case you're new to this, I'm not going to explain to you how this is played, but basically we're going to divide them by color. Now, one thing that I have to mention is, man, these cards always smell amazing. Smelling the card explains the card. I don't know what they do with the One Piece cards, but basically, I think that the whole reason is like they are made in Japan. And as such, this happens with some Magic the Gathering cards as well, like when you buy like collector boosters and whatnot. Some Magic the Gathering cards made in Japan also smell like very good, I have to say. So, but this, it's like, I don't even know how to describe the smell. It's like sweet, it smells like food. Like there's a Japanese type of sweet that smells like this. I never know how to describe it. And by the way, in case you're all again new to this, most of them have whiteboard. The ones that have, this is in this set, right? This repeats later. The ones that have like a brown beige border are colored manga cards, right? So, which is, not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. But so I was saying, Magic the Gathering is always number one. Pokemon as an IP has an indisputable number one place in Zawarudo, but you can tell that I'm doing weeb stuff already because I'm already talking like a weeb, like Zawarudo, because everyone that is worth some of your respect is a JoJo fan. Print that down. It's a thing. So, but Pokemon the trading card game is very popular, and I think it was always popular. By the way, these things have this here. I don't like it a lot because I honestly don't know. Like, I opened a bunch of these. Digimon is the same, and I think Dragon Ball is the same too. And I never know exactly like how to open it properly because it feels like you're gonna force and like damage the card. But I don't know, maybe it's a me thing. By the way, this is a Dawn card. This doesn't go here. So and I'm putting it by color. I know that someone is going to be like, no, it should be by character and event and whatever. It's like, listen, I'm gonna do colors. So the Pokemon is very popular as a card game. It is what it is, and obviously there is the speculation or speculatory factor. Pokemon is, a lot of the current popularity. Damn, a lot of the current popularity of the Pokemon cards come from I will say like the second youth. Well, not second, maybe the third or fourth youth, but at least the current youth of the Pokemon TCG was due to the Charizard event, right? You can tell these are man. One Piece is already kind of thirsty, but some of these cards are like, god damn! Like only the manga style ones are actually like drew by Ichiro Oda. Everything else is done by like different artists, same as Magic and Pokemon. But damn, I have to say that some of these drawings, like I don't really like. It's funny because One Piece is, for example, look at this, like this Ace card, right? Particularly, I am one of those people that don't like Ace. I mean, I don't hate him. I just don't, it's like, okay. I mean, Ace is important for the story, don't get me wrong. Ace is cool. But the thing is, Ace is okay. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't want to touch the topic, any topic, because if you haven't watched One Piece, but if you have watched One Piece, I'm like, you know what I mean, right? It's like, it's okay. I mean, but in terms of artistic style, like, see how he's like very ripped and shit, and it's like super detailed. And it's like, oh, that's cool. But what is this? Like One Piece is more like cartoony, both manga and anime. So, but I mean, look at this. But I think the Charizard event, like it was one of the Paul brothers, right? I don't know which of the two. They did the Charizard thing, and then this second youth. Then with the pandemic and crypto and all that, it just became more of a investment now, and we have all that current status that the cards just fly off the shelves and people speculate with them and whatnot. That's good for the sales of the game. I'm sure that the Pokemon Company are very thrilled with that, but for everyone else, it's like whatever. So that's is the second most popular. Now the third, and this has been interchangeably depending on the era that you are in, has been Yu-Gi-Oh! So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is normally the oh damn! Yugi is normally the god damn. This guy is cool, and very reflective. Look at that, damn. Also, I'm not like super duper into the art style. Like the face is not there for me. I'm not hating on the art, right? You know what I mean. It's like I'm not going to critique every card, but it's like, but still the card is crazy, damn. And One Piece is the one that. What color is this? Like yellow, I guess. Yeah. Oh, well, actually, it's black. So there you go. I think that the Yu-Gi-Oh has been stronger in the past because people are gonna kill me for this, but I always feel like the success of Yu-Gi is always kind of tied to the TV show, in the same way that the reason why many of us play Yu-Gi-Oh and know about Yu-Gi-Oh is because of the TV show, like because of the anime. Like I don't think I know about anyone that just stumbled upon it and went like, oh, that's great. I mean, that happens with Magic because Magic is exactly that, but I don't think that's the case for Yu-Gi. And Yu-Gi has been kind of right now. You know what I mean? It's like not in the best of positions. I mean, some people will defend it, some people not really, and it's in that spot. You know what I mean? It's like, So based on that, some other card games have been appearing. So you have these. Obviously, I think that the one that the dark horse that a lot of people are pushing for is Flesh and Blood. I also have a lot of Flesh and Blood stuff there. Maybe next podcast is going to be around Flesh and Blood and my impressions on the game. But at the same time, Flesh and Blood, I don't know, I think he's missing something to finally pop off the way it deserves. Like, I like it. Obviously, it plays differently from Magic and whatnot. which is not bad. I like the fact that it's not just a reskin of Magic the Gathering, right? For example, obviously you can always say that Pokemon is a reskin of Magic the Gathering, but that makes sense because the first version of Pokemon was by Wizards. So it's kind of a simplified Magic, right? And that's okay, kind of adapted to the game mechanics. And they have changed some things with the years, but it is what it is. And it's not shaming there, right? And Yugi is kind of more or less like Magic, but not really, you know what I mean? It's like some of the concepts are there, but the execution is not the same. And that's okay. So I feel like a lot of modern games are trying to really, really not be a version of Magic, while others are trying to be a version of Magic. And for example, a lot of the Japanese card games like One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Digimon, they are not exactly the same, but I feel like they share a frame for how they are played, and the card style, and their identity. After all, they're all from Bandai and Cardass. So yeah, Cardass is the name of the company. I'm not joking. Look it up. And they have this lovely thing that I love talking about, like the types of cards that you can get in a booster and all that. Like, it's kind of stupid, but I like it. Like, because it's things that they really make a point. When you see me opening stuff in the channel, like some like bigger products, they always make a point of saying like, oh, this is included, this is not included, this is random, these are the types of cards that you can get from the random, and visit the website and shit like that, right? So there's to me it's like a little bit endearing because I'm like, I guess I'm too used to card games at this point, so I'm just like second nature. But it's important. But I feel that these Japanese games are trying to go for a different thing. They don't play the same Yugi, Dragon Ball, and Digimon, but I will be lying if I say that they kind of maybe they're not the same game, but they smell similar. And it's not because all the cards smell pretty nice, because apparently the factory in Japan makes them smell nice. But the Outlook 3, the worst version of the software that Microsoft produced. I think that's kind of the scenario where we are, right? So I think that besides that, you have like these young and upcoming games like Sorcery and stuff like that, which are cool, but in my opinion, they have to survive the initial. I feel like with a lot of card games, people are always buy into the alphas and the betas because of Magic. We all have the traumas, and we all want to have a Black Lotus, but I think that surviving the first wave is what is going to make a card game be like successful. And Sorcery is still there. Flesh and Blood, however, it's interesting to me because One Piece is the strongest of all these I would say Bandai anime-based card games because, well, One Piece is the most popular of all those. And I say this as a hardcore, die-hard Dragon Ball fan. I'm also a One Piece fan, right? But like, it's not like I'm not going to start a war between the two. But the thing is that, for better or worse, One Piece is a Dragon Ball of the newer generation. So, and that makes sense. That's okay. And I guess the younger people have like Demon Slayer and whatever. I don't know. One Piece is 25 years old right now, I think. If not 30 already. Damn. So, I am old. They know who they are drawing for. So nice. I think that and double nice, I guess. Some of these characters is crazy because I have to look at them and go like, what is this character from? And then I remember, it's like, oh, I remember. One Piece has a lot of characters. It doesn't mean that all of them are relevant, but they do have a lot of characters. So to me, Flesh and Blood feels like it deserves the spot where it is, and maybe it should be better to a degree. Because One Piece, it's very well balanced in the sense that, okay, it's difficult to get the cards because they don't overprint, and people are trying to speculate with it, obviously. But it's because of some cards. So we're going with the Pokemon approach, which is, okay, some cards have special treatments. Those are the expensive ones. The cards themselves, it's just to play with. It doesn't matter. And what they do with that, something that I actually find pretty cool, is that if you buy a starter deck, you can actually just play. and you, I mean, likely you're not going to win every tournament at your LGS, but nice. But you're gonna be respectable, right? Like you're gonna defend yourself at least, and that's a lot better than what I can say for for Magic, right? So that is part of the reason why One Piece is being a success. I mean, not only the IP and the cards are all very flashy. If you are new to this and you're watching this, I mean, you can see that all the cards are what we will call full art cards, right? Some of them have less text, but that's on purpose. Like it's by design. Like the rarity, the special cards are the ones that are like very shiny or like, you know, something along those lines. It's not necessarily because all of them are very visual, which is cool. After all, you're here to appreciate the art and collect the cards and whatnot. For example, I don't play One Piece like super duper, you know, proactively, but I do like One Piece. So when I see cards like this, I go like, man, this is crazy. I remember this saga, I remember this moment, etc. So to me, it's more of an artistic thing, just more to collect them to a degree. You can play with them, which is always nice, but to me, that's not the appeal. So yeah, I see this card of Lucy, and I go, wow, damn, nice, right? So that's kind of for a lot of people, it's the same. Like a lot of people just want to collect them. Another Dawn card, nice, with the Shibukai, or the Shibukai, depending on how you know how to pronounce it. And I feel like Flesh and Blood is in a different spot. I feel like Flesh and Blood is a game. I mean, I don't want to make it sound more dramatic than it needs to. But Flesh and Blood always felt to me like it was born to kill Magic. I mean, not you know what I mean. Like, you know, I like exaggerations aside, because it was made by a person that really loves Magic and I really like a specific feeling of Magic. If you play Flesh and Blood, you realize that the back and forth is, you know, is a very specific type of interaction in Magic that happens with the counter spells and chains and all that. So that's how the combat, to me at least, feels in Flesh and Blood. Similar to like a lot of people just in Yugi really like the vibe of like, you activated my trap card and pim pam boom, and you know that triggers. Nice. I don't even remember when this happened. Film Neo Navy. Damn, I don't remember this character at all. Crazy. But I do feel like Flesh and Blood is different enough, because the way it's played is like you don't have mana, you don't have energy, right? Because for example, Lorcana, which is a lot of people will try and put Lorcana in the third spot. It's not. Like, I think that in order, like the third spot is occupied. The fight is between One Piece, Flesh and Blood, and Yugi. Yugi obviously is there by default, but then depending on who you ask and the LGSs, for a lot of LGSs, and you just need to look online, like look around, just go checking like social media of like LGSs, and you will see that they have a bunch of events for One Piece, and obviously like the mandatory ones for Magic, and the others are maybe there. Sometimes they don't even have events for Pokemon because it's like whatever, right? But because no one plays, everyone just collects. But the thing is that, but Flesh and Blood, the name comes from like is to be played in flesh and blood, which is something that, in my opinion, kind of hurts it as well. Nice. Double nice. Because it's, you know, there are online adaptations of the game. You can play online in some fan-made things, but it makes it more difficult to like spread the word, I guess. And at the same time, I think the one thing that really makes some people not like Flesh and Blood is precisely the aura that the game has, that is the magic killer. I mean, it's funny because to me it's the one game that like smells like Magic but doesn't play like Magic at all. Like it doesn't have the basic concepts of like energy, you know, all the basic economy that Magic has. It doesn't, because even sorcery, that for a lot of people was like, oh, sorcery is crazy. Sorcery is basically like it's like I would call it 3D Magic. It's more like 2D Magic, but 3D Magic because like, oh, you have to move. It's like Dungeon Dice Monsters meets Magic the Gathering, and they still have like literal lands. You have 2 decks. You have one for lands and one for everything else. And you have to pick from different, like, because everyone is trying to solve the land problem in Magic. And that's why some games don't use that at all, like the Japanese games. Flesh and Blood is like, no, we don't do that. We just do real-time combat. So it smells like Magic, but it doesn't share anything with Magic, which is very interesting. And in terms of art and style, it's very close to, you know, old school Magic. And for a lot of people, that's very cool. By the way, we're halfway there. And whereas this something like One Piece, first you have to like One Piece. Maybe you don't have to love it, because you can play and you can be like, oh, this is fun, even if you don't know half of the characters. It's very easy to follow. But then it also has like the usual suspects, right? You already saw some of the cards that I pulled are very like, okay, like visually, because, you know, it is what it is. I'm a simple person, even though I enjoy, like, this is the same I say with Magic whenever something is like Universes Beyond. Even though I enjoy different takes from different artists on things that I love, just give me screenshots of the manga and I'm pretty cool with that, right? It's more low effort, but Eiichiro Oda is already one of the greatest, right? So, and yes, I mean, I could make an entire podcast criticizing Oda too, because I'm not going to glaze him only. I think that a lot of things that are happening in One Piece currently, for good and bad, are because of him. And for example, Gear 5 is a thing that I don't enjoy. I mean, I like the concept, but I don't like how it appeared, why the few moments that we have seen Luffy with it. I don't like what I'm seeing in terms of personality. Maybe it needs to be more fleshed out. I see it in the manga and in the anime, right? I followed the anime up to date, and then I was like, let me just read the manga. And from time to time, I go back to the anime and just watch like key moments. Now, the anime has problems too, because obviously the anime is just there to sell stuff. So Toei really glazes Zoro, and for some reason hates Sanji apparently. So to me, it's like, come on. So if you know, you know. In this arc that these cards are representing specifically, there was a specific Sanji moment that was like, yeah, that moment is cool, and they kind of didn't, and they gave more like importance to Zoro and stuff like that. It's like no one is gonna die because of that, but certainly it's like, come on, you know. So I mean, nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect anywhere. Nice. Look at this. She's like a mirror. This thing is crazy. Look at this. Damn. Very cool. I don't even know where to put. This is black technically. So, you know, we're in this spot. But I like One Piece overall. And this all started because at the beginning of the podcast I was saying, listen, the only reason why there is no secret lair or Universes Beyond with One Piece is because One Piece already has a card game. I can't see One Piece doing a collab the same way as Dragon Ball, because I don't think they care. But maybe they just like, no, we don't want to confuse people. We already have a card game. I mean, Final Fantasy did it, and they have a card game. Now, okay, even though some people are gonna hate me, it's true that the Final Fantasy card game, I mean, it's not the most popular card game in the game in the world, so it was kind of, you know, no one died because of the collab with Magic, but it is what it is. In terms of news for card games this week, or at least for Magic, not much. We are in a very calm moment right now. The major thing that happened was mostly spoilers for Avatar, like the official presentation of Avatar and spoilers. God damn. And now this is how you make like good looking. Now, okay, one thing I do have to say is that this happens with Dragon Ball cards as well. For example, I look at it. I prefer this one to the other one that we pulled. I think this one is cleaner. I like this one more. The art, I think, is more in model, as the people in the medium used to say. But it's very noisy. So, for example, again, nowadays, you see in so many types of Magic cards that you look at this and go like, whatever. But it's true that something that happens with Japanese card games, and if you see Dragon Ball like Dokkan Battle on the mobile and all that, you know, is that Dokkan Battle is not a card game, but it is a card game. You know what I mean? The special cards are very noisy. I like this, like full of effects and shit. You know, it's like shit happening. And sometimes people just really enjoy like, the character just chilling. It's like character in model just chilling, that type of thing. See, this way I don't know how to open. I am so used to not having the convenience of a dent in the booster that I don't know how to open a dented booster or whatever. And the one thing I have to say about Avatar is that it got me excited for Avatar. The some of the previews. I mean, we saw some, and I was like, whatever, more universes beyond. But you remember, like some podcasts ago, I said, like, listen, when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were revealed, I said, like, listen, I don't mind we doing 30 million universes beyond if those universes beyond cards and sets are well done, in the sense that there is love for the property, there is love, like the cards are well designed. Like if we're just gonna get, give me it can be, even if they did like 7 in-universe sets, that wouldn't be good either. You know what I mean? Like that will be, because it's a lot of cards to design, and you like the good ones are always gonna be like power creeping, and this happens with every card game, and the bad ones are just like cannon fodder, like it's bulk, no one cares, so you're really just polluting the earth. Like there is no reason to do that. So even if it was like, let's say that from now on Magic is only universes beyond, 7 is still a lot. I will argue for like 5. Ideally it will be 4, like every 3 months a set, right? And if you really push me, 4 or 3, give some time to my wallet, but and it can be all universes beyond as long as they are properly done. Now the Avatar set, some of the cards that I saw so far, they are like visually, except for one that is like cruel instructor or something like that. There's like an extreme zoom in of like, I think it's is it Zuko's father? Like I don't know. It's like extreme. Like the entire card is like a face. Like first place, like what the fuck? The card is. I don't understand that card. I think it's horrible, and my feelings are hurt. But visually, visually, this seems like one of those that is like half and half, and you need to have the other card in here. So let's see if we can pull the other half. It really feels like visually they are on point, and mechanically the flavor is also there. You know what I mean? So to me, the Avatar set is already looking good. I'm going to give like a free pass to the TMNT set and the Marvel set, and Star Trek I honestly don't care, because I never cared for Star Trek in my life, and this is not a diss. I mean, if people love Star Trek, I mean, all the power to you. I mean, I like this shit, so everyone, all of us have different tastes. That's kind of, and personalities. That's quite fun about meeting people. But the thing is, I mean, I wish they do the set well for the people that care about Star Trek. Don't get me wrong. I only saw like 2 Star Trek movies, like the old ones, not the new ones. I saw the Rage of Khan because I saw the memes, and I was like, okay. And when I was a kid, I saw Star Trek, and I saw the new generation, but it's not like I saw it. Like it was on TV sometimes, and I saw it. And I was like, okay, cool. But I never. And then as a lot of things happen in life, I was kind of more of a Star Wars kid, and for some reason, society puts you in this position where you can't just enjoy 2 things. So I was in the crew that was like, oh yeah, I don't like pajamas. I like bathrobes. That's why I was with Star Wars. If you like pajamas, you're with Star Trek. If you like bathrobes, you're with Star Wars. So I always like Star Wars more because it was like more fantasy, like it's more mystic. Star Trek is more realistic, I will say. And I think that with age, I find Star Trek now more interesting. Now, it also helps, of course, that the Star Wars is kind of dead to me thanks to Disney and what they did in the last 5 years or 6 or 7. I don't know how much time passed anymore. But yeah, all this to say, I'm giving like an opportunity to both TMNT and Marvel to see if they're gonna do like those sets properly. I mean, those sets are already designed and likely ready to be printed, if not printed already. But I'm hoping that they did the designs properly. That's what I'm saying. Avatar looks good, better than what I was expecting, and that got me excited again. Because I like Avatar. I said this multiple times. I like Avatar. Nice. If you never watch One Piece and you're seeing a lot of this shit, I think your mind must be going like, what? Which, if you never saw One Piece and you're seeing some of this, like, wait, why Luffy is the Hulk? This is, you can be like, spoilers. It's not really. Because you will see and you will wonder, what the hell is this? Now, my wish to you is that if you never watch One Piece or read One Piece, and you're seeing some of what's happening in these cards, and you're like, what the hell am I looking at? What I ask of you is just go watch One Piece. Technically, we'll read One Piece, but if you want to watch it, don't watch One Piece as is, because even though I love One Piece is a lot. It's like 1,000-something episodes, and some of you will be like, yay, instead of watching YouTube videos of a guy opening cards, I have actual quality content done by an entire team of people based on the masterwork of Eiichiro Oda, right? So I can't blame you for that. And you can watch it dubbed even in a lot of languages. I will always defend the Japanese original version, but that's only because I am that type of person. But everyone with their own opinions, I guess, and taste. Again, it is what it is. But I will say that if you want to watch One Piece, but you want to do it in a efficient way, look for One Piece. And this is not me saying One Piece in a very weird accent. So, instead of One Piece, is One Pace, as in pacing, P-A-C-E, pace. And that's a fan project that literally what they did is, okay, listen, One Piece is true that it doesn't have a lot of filler. At the beginning, it had some filler arcs that you can skip, even though the filler was kind of good, in my opinion. But still, I understand that some people just don't want to waste time, even though it's entertainment, but whatever. That's a different podcast, I guess. As time passed, One Piece stopped doing fillers as we normally know them. From the big three, the three heirs of Dragon Ball, which are One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach, they all had different outcomes, right? Like, Bleach is Bleach, and kind of died, and now it came back with 1,000-Year War and all that. I'm talking about anime, right? Specifically anime. Because Dragon Ball, even though I love the manga, and and Akira Toriyama is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, the thing is, yes, I know that Kentaro Miura draws better. I am also a Berserk stan. Like, come on, you know what I mean. So and obviously Araki too. I can do a whole podcast just with him, right? But basically, what I want to say is, the anime of Dragon Ball is what changed the world for a lot of people, and it actually changed the world. It introduced anime to an entire generation and to a lot of countries too. So what I want to say with that is, the three heirs were One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. So if you just count the animes, Bleach kind of died because the filler in Bleach was crazy. Bleach will stop some arcs on its tracks, and then next week it will give you filler for X weeks until they come back, and that will be crazy. And it's like we were doing this podcast, and then suddenly it stops, and a character that appears and goes like, okay, so we're gonna talk about this in the meantime, and they just talk about something else, and they go back to you like 2 months later. You don't even remember what's happening, so they do a recap, and for some people, it was okay because they loved Bleach, but for others, it's like, man, I just want to see the end of the freaking Soul Society. So, you know what I mean? Naruto, it was all over the place. Sometimes, like, the first part of Naruto doesn't have a lot of filler, except at the end, which has all the freaking filler. Like, literally, like 200 episodes of Naruto, the last 200 episodes of Naruto, something like that, are filler, which is okay. A lot of people, you can just skip that and go to Shippuden, the second part of Naruto. And a lot of people are saying, like, well, those fillers kind of have a point because they were buying time for the manga, and also it made it feel like time passed because 200 episodes, that's a lot of weeks, and also those focused on secondary characters, so it gave more weight to some secondary characters, which is good and bad, because in Shippuden then those characters don't do shit and you feel bad, but it's not the manga's fault, it's the anime's fault, because they gave those characters more of a weight that they didn't have in the original work, even though the filler supposedly was at least reviewed by Kishimoto, the author of Naruto. But I digress. Then you have Shippuden, and in Shippuden, yes, they stop fights with flashbacks of the 11th time of Sasuke. Why did you? So not too great. And then the end of Naruto is also a thing because it was rushed, because it had to end in the number 700 for some reason. I don't know. And then Boruto needed to. That's a different podcast. But basically, let me know if you want me to weep one of these days, just opening cards and just rambling about. But basically, and One Piece was kind of stable, had some filler arcs, and then no longer filler. But instead of filler, it has a lot of pacing issues. So they just drag it a lot, like Dragon Ball used to do with like they're just standing there looking at each other like and then the camera goes like, and then they fight, and it's like dun 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 for like 20 minutes, just going. When in the manga, it's just like, and that's enough to fight. And some people argue that gives it more of a epic feeling, same to One Piece. But let's be honest, it can be frustrating that like 5 episodes pass in One Piece and in modern One Piece, in actually current One Piece, and not much happened. So the fans created One Piece, which removes all this and is just more faithful to the manga, and it reduces the episode count a lot. So if you want to watch One Piece, because reading is not for a lot of people, search on Google for One Piece. You can even watch it online. They have like a streaming thing if you don't want to download the episodes. And trust me, it's worth it. Now, disclaimer, I guess. Well, actually, no. I was about to say the first episodes of One Piece have a different art style that is the original art piece of the original art style of One Piece. And that art style can be off-putting for a lot of people because it's like too cartoony, raw, I guess. I don't know how to express it. Last booster, by the way. But it gets better. However, I think that One Piece actually uses the movies that Toei did later. That are like a summarized, better animated 16:9 versions. So yeah, overall, if you want to get into One Piece, just go watch One Piece. It's about pirates. It's about pirates and dreams, and I don't think it's gonna change your life, but it certainly, I think, is for a lot of people it changed their lives, because we've been following this thing for 20 plus years, so for a lot of us it's part of our lives already. But if you jump in just now from zero, it may change your life, but at the very least it's something very fun that deals with the topics. It's a shonen, right? So it's not gonna be like transcendental knowledge or anything like that, but it's going to be about dreams and the value of dreams and people fighting for their dreams. And Luffy wants to be the king of pirates, and if you are up to date with the manga, you are likely listening to this and going it's like, right? So Luffy wants to be the king of pirates. That's the whole thing of this. And sometimes reading or watching One Piece can be inspiring, even though they are fictitious characters or fictional characters. He doesn't give up in the face of adversity, and he fights for what he thinks is right, and he's very stubborn, and he fights for his friends, and all of the members of the crew have different personalities and shit. And yes, it's all fictional, but sometimes even the news are fictional in this world. Sometimes you're like, oh, so this in the news, and it's fake news, people, so it is what it is. But sometimes, you just need an injection of positivity in your life. Sometimes you just need an injection of heroism in your life, because yes, you can look at some of your role models in real life. I don't know, maybe you want to be like Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo because you like football, right? Or maybe you want to be like I forgot the name of the you're gonna be like Anderson Silva, like in the UFC, right? You're gonna be like the Spider. And yes, I went for that one and not for McGregor because I don't like McGregor. The thing, and you train for martial arts, or maybe you want to be like X amount of shit. Sports normally is used like a good reference point for people because the sports are good. Like, it's good to do sports. Even if it's just walking, it's good for your health, it's good for everything. So having a sports role model, knowing that the culture of all these organizations like football, baseball, all these are like, like fair game, being respectful, etc. So those are good values. Some people have different role models, like business role models. Some people look up at Steve Jobs or shit like that. And some people have like more approachable role models, like your dad, your uncle, your mom. I don't know, or like your friend, your teachers, whatever. And that's good. It's good to have aspirations and dreams, and trying to be like someone is always a good inspiration. And some other people, and this may sound stupid, just find their will to fight or their motivation to look at the world differently in fiction. And that fiction can be One Piece. That fiction can be Dragon Ball. That fiction can be Game of Thrones. It's true that, like, obviously these are like kids cartoons, right? It can be Avatar. I guess Avatar is a Western one. I was about to say, like, well, Western, is either like dumb cartoons. When I say dumb, big question mark, big quotes, right? Like dumb in the sense that it's like silly. Silly is the word that I'm looking for. Like silly cartoons. They may have good morals, like Adventure Time, all that shit. Like they may have good morals and good messages and all that, and maybe they can be inspiring sometimes. I don't know. Shonen and Japanese shonen are always more about like, yeah, let's go, friendship and all that shit. Western media, I mean, sometimes your role models can be toxic. Like a lot of people want to be like Walter White, and even though I love Breaking Bad, we have to agree Walter White is a person. I don't think he can be like 100% good role model for anyone. And as everything, fiction is fiction. So like, don't be like one of those that's like, oh, I want to fly like Superman, and you throw yourself through a window. But, you can aspire to be like good, like Naruto, like Luffy, like Goku, like, I don't know. Just having points of reference. And sometimes your life can be bad, and the only good reference points that you have are fictional. And as long as that motivates you to keep fighting the good fight and be good to the people around you and, be kind, so be it. It's not the source of the inspiration is not what matters, is what you do with the strength that generates in you that is important. And I wasn't expecting the end of this podcast to be like a motivational speech. I guess this is the effect of One Piece on people. But, it is what it is. So, thank you very much for watching. If this is the first time you see the One Piece card game, let me know, because I know that maybe you were expecting like Magic the Gathering, and I can go back to that. I have a lot of too many cards. Don't tell people how I live. But basically, so I wanted to shift it up a little bit and show you other things. Obviously, maybe you don't like this art style, which is very anime-like, right? And there are some other art styles there that maybe are more into. Obviously, the style of the drawing is still based on Eiichiro Oda's design, which are different. But we can all agree that they are, looking. This is a manga panel, by the way. This looks, both silly and badass at the same time. And I think this is a great summarization of what One Piece is. And look at what it says here. It says, they are pirates, the 5 remaining warlords of the sea. Amazing. So, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to click all those shiny buttons that help this thing get to more people. And if you like what you saw, please let me know. If you want me to talk about something in particular, if you want me to open something in particular, please let me know too. Maybe I have it. And if not, maybe I can try and buy it. And if you never saw One Piece or you never saw the card game, please let me know too. I love getting into conversations with you guys. So, see you next time on PAX and Recreation. Gomu Gomu no bye.